So let me just draw an impulse and let me draw a WXY. So we start with the impulse to the downside. You get a 1, you get a 2, you get another 1, you get another 2. Wait, let me actually make this a little bit more overlappy. 1, 2, 1, 2. You get your 3, then you get your first 4, you get your 5, then you get your final 4, and you get your 5. Impulse to the downside. Now let me write or draw the WXY. So WXY, A, B, C, right? It looks like what's happening on the chart at the moment, right? This is then your 80K low. Then you get an X, and then you get another A, B, C. I should actually make it a little bit nicer. A, B, C. Now, what is the main difference between the two? So initially, they look quite similar. This is, let me put the things on the chart here. So that's your WXY. And this is your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we will have another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. And I think it would be good for you as well to just shortly think about what you're seeing and how to distinguish the two. Now I just continue talking and I'll explain. So here we're going to look at the ranges. So I just explained wave C versus 5, which is a volume thing because they're both an impulse, but it's more like a volume difference. But here we're looking at range differences. So your lower degree 4 is commonly shorter than your higher degree 4. Now wave 4s are commonly longer than their wave 2s or similar in size. Wave 2 is most commonly a simple structure like a zigzag family structure, while then the wave 4s tend to be more complex. Wave 4s commonly retrace in the middle of their correction close to the beginning of a 4. So in other words, you have, for example, a flat. So you get A, B, C, or W, X, Y, or a triangle, A, B, C, D, E. Basically, in a wave 4, price commonly retraces towards the start of the range, while in a wave 2, that commonly does not happen. So you get like A, B, C, W, X, Y. Right? So the low here, sure, you go down, but it's not as deep, it's not as low, it's not as close to the beginning of the corrective structure. Now, as mentioned, preferably your first wave 4, similar in size compared to the 2 or a little bit longer. Here you compare 4 against 2. Here you compare X against W. W is a bigger structure. So X is going to be compared against the biggest structure, making the probabilities higher. Wave X is larger, expected to be larger than your 4. Because if I use a fib time and I take a fib time from the start to the end of W, then you can see the 1-to-1 is about the end of wave X in my drawing. If I take a fib time from the start of 2 to the end of the lower degree 2 to the end of the lower degree 3, toggle on the wave 4, then it basically ended at 2.5. Let me just put this one on the chart, 2.5, right? So right there, pop, 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 pop. So usually what you'll find is that if you have a shorter range in a 4, you want price to move down in a 5, matching the Fibonacci time, like before a 5-6 time. But if you are going to use this fib time, look at this, I'm using start of 1, end of 2, to now the start of X. So now what I'm doing here, let me remove this white line. Now I am comparing this 2 against wave X, because when it happens live on the chart, you don't always really know, like, okay, like, you know, what's going on. You're going to count both of these at the same time, basically. But now you can see that if we compare 2 against x, your wave x is now about 4 or 5 times the size. Wave x here is a 1-to-1 compared to w, but it is a 5/5 time compared to 2. But it's the same range, because after the drop, this is your range. After the drop, that's your range. So wave x, the chances wave x are larger than 4 is high. Now wave x's, they can be short. A wave x minimum target compared to a w would be the 0.382, and sure, sometimes it will be shorter. It's not common, but it definitely happens. We have seen it in the past. Now the 0.382 here, I can do this as well. I can compare w against this wave 4. So I take a start, like from the start to the end of w, to then over here, the end of 3. So now you can see that if wave x would be short, right, and it ends here, then the range of wave x would be very similar compared to the potential of a wave 4 against the 2. So this is the moment where you can't make a clear distinction anymore, because your wave x is so tiny. Now your wave x is similar in size compared to 4, right? That's the end of your wave 4 here. That's the end of your wave x. And now that, like, the 5 times are the same, basically, right? So this range is the same as this range. From the low of 3 to the 382 is the same as from the low of w to the 382. But now it becomes a problem, because now we can't really make a very clear distinction. So if wave x is very short, then it means it's more difficult to distinguish the 4 against the x. However, we don't, even if that happens, this is your next range. And now you're comparing the higher degree 4 against a lower degree wave b. Let me clean this up here. So now we compare 4 against b. So a wave b here is going to be compared against its wave a. Wave 4 is going to be compared against a higher degree wave 2. Now, a corrective structure, right, over here, this wave 2 can be very short, of course, as well in time, but you expect a wave 4 to be larger or at least similar in size compared to 2. You expect a wave b to at least be the 382 of this move to the downside, being wave a. Commonly, you would expect wave b to be tinier than the higher degree 4, which basically means that in an impulse, you go from 1 larger 2, 1 tinier 2, 3, tiny 4, 5, larger 4, 5. In a WXY double zigzag, you have ABC, right? And sometimes this, of course, this like looks obvious like a 3-waver, but of course, this corrective structure can look like a running flat, and therefore it may look like 1, 2, 1, 2 down. Okay, not always as easy. But basically, what I'm aiming for here is this is a tiny 4, large 4. Here it is large X, tiny b. It's turned around. Your large one comes first, the tiny one comes second. Tiny one comes first, large one comes second. That's important to distinguish the two structures. So now we basically understand the differences between a WXY and an impulse. A WXY double zigzag can look like an impulse, especially if the C of the W is a bit extended, a bit long, high volume. It mimics wave 3, but then this is where the differences start. So generally wave X is larger than the tiny 4, and generally your wave B here is smaller than the expected higher degree wave 4. Plus the end being wave Y, this would be a wave C. One expects it to be on relatively high volume, increasing volume here, low of A, low of C, lower low, higher volume, compared to in an impulse, 5 of a lower degree to 5 of a higher degree, lower low, decreasing volume. Okay, so I hope it helps you to understand the analytical differences, the Elliott Waves differences between counting an impulse and a WXY. Right, and as I draw them here, you're like, well, or you may be like, well, it looks really obvious, like the difference is really easily seen between the two, right? The way I draw the WXY versus the impulse. But a WXY can also look, and there we go, can look like this. So you have your wave A, then you have a running flat in a wave B, you get a wave C, and maybe the running flat even has an ending diagonal in here, by the way. Then you get a wave C to the downside, right? Then you get a tinier wave X to the 3A2, and then you get another A, B, and a C. Your wave X is now the 3A2 in time of your W, right? Mimicking a potential 4. Now, preferably, your minimum target for wave X, has to be said, is the 0.382 Fibonacci, right, which clearly it hasn't reached in my drawing. So preferably your wave X goes higher. But then again, we have seen a wave X being shallow going to, like, say, a 236, to a 236. So in that case, I would have to do like this and then that. And that's your X. So basically, wave X doesn't invalidate the impulse. That's the main thing. So if I would consider an impulse here, in a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, then what I'll do to invalidate a wave 4 is take from the start to the end of 3, toggle on the 6, 1, 8 here. That's the invalidation. Now, if I then take the fibs for a wave 4, if I then take the fibs of a wave X, then what you see here is that the 3A2 is still below the 618. So wave X can move to the 3A2 and go down, and this high is going to be labeled both as a 4 as an X, especially if wave X is short in time. So now you can see the similarity between the two, where the analytical price, or like the price action here, the waves here might not be very clear. It can look very messy. So there's the potential of, well, could this be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then a 3? Even though we know if this would be a running flat, this is a 3 wave down, not a 5 wave down. Here it's a 5, here it's a 3, right? This should be a 5 up, this should be a 3 up. Sure, there's differences, but the chart is not always very clear. Mind you, this can even be a WXY to the downside here, right? WX and then a wave Y, and then down you go. Wave Y doesn't need to take out the end of W. So in practice, as nice as textbook look, as nice as the textbooks sometimes look, and sheets of paper and examples, in reality, you have to be aware of the chart not being perfect, right? And being aware of how to distinguish these two structures, because a WXY can look like an impulse to the downside. So hopefully you learned something new, where, like, you know, the differences between impulse, WXY, and some of the things to pay attention to, and the thought process of analyzing an impulse versus a WXY double zigzag.